Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. We are now just one day away from Arsenal returning to action. They of course take on PSV tomorrow night in the Europa League qualification, already secured through to the knockout stages, but they can guarantee themselves top spot in the group with, I was going to say victory, but leaving that, a draw tomorrow night will be enough to see Arsenal win the group with one game remaining, and that of course is very, very good for Arsenal because it would mean they do not have to go through into the round of 32 next year. They will get a bye straight through to the round of 16, which is good for many reasons. You play two less games in what's going to be an already packed schedule after the World Cup. You avoid playing the games against, it's basically a knockout round against the teams that come down from the Champions League as well. And just lots of advantages to it. So Arsenal very much want to win the group, giving themselves a great shot at doing that thanks to opening up with 4 wins from 4. Like I said, just a draw will be enough given Arsenal beat PSV in London last week. I do think we're probably going to see a pretty strong team tomorrow night. I've seen plenty of your messages that you've been sending me on my various social channels this week saying that should rest everyone. I think he'll do that next week against Zurich. If Arsenal get the result they need against PSV, I think everyone's going to be rested in that Zurich game. That will be the sort of free hit type match, especially with the Chelsea game on the Sunday straight after that. You'd think Mikel wouldn't want to play anyone against Zurich, who's going to be starting against Chelsea just a few days later at Stamford Bridge. And to be able to do that, I think obviously they've got to try and get the result they need tomorrow to make sure they don't need anything from that Zurich game. And that's why I think he's going to go pretty strong. Like I said, you've been flooding me with messages this week on my various channels saying, rest everyone. I don't want to see Saka anywhere near the team. I don't want to see Xhaka anywhere near the team. I don't want to see Gabriel, Saliba, people like that. I don't think that is going to be the case. I think Arteta's still going to go pretty much like he's gone the rest of these games, even though qualification's already been secured. I think he knows how important it is just to get the group won as soon as possible, and then your rest players. So I think we're still going to see things pretty similar to what we've seen so far when it comes to the group stage games, when it comes to starting lineup. So obviously players will be rested, plenty of them. They'll be on the bench, but I still think we're going to see a few of those players start who have. Arteta's kind of been rotating it, hasn't it, so far in the group stages. You've had, say, Granit Xhaka start one game, then he doesn't start the next one. You had, for example, in Bodo, you had Vieira and Odegaard playing together in those 2 number 8 roles rather than Xhaka, and then Xhaka came back in for the PSV game, of course, scored the winner last weekend against them. Gabriel as well has been starting, then he's been left out. He didn't play against Bodo. Saliba came back in, and I think we're going to see that again this Thursday night. Looks like Marquinhos is not going to be available. Not sure exactly yet, but he didn't train today. Whether he would have started remains to be seen, but he would be an option to start at right wing. He started the first 2 games, I think, in this competition on the right hand side, and gave Bukayo Saka a bit of a rest. But if he's not available, which it looks like he might not be because he didn't train today, the players do head off later today, and Mikel Arteta's got a press conference in Holland this evening after they touch down over there. But if Marquinhos isn't available, then you look at, probably definitely one of either Saka or Martinelli is going to get the start on Thursday night, whether it be Saka on the right, Reece Nelson on the left, or you bring Reece Nelson and play him over on the right and then you play Martinelli on the left. That's something that Mikel's going to have to decide. But I think one of those 2 players is probably going to start, and then it's going to be, who do you go for in midfield? Do you play Xhaka or do you leave him out and play Vieira and Odegaard? I think probably we might see Vieira and Odegaard start this one, and Xhaka given a little bit of a rest, given he started against PSV last week, started at the weekend obviously, so I think this might be the time when Xhaka gets a little bit of a rest, and we might see Gabriel rested as well in the left hand side of the centre backs. Interesting to see what happens at fullback. Obviously Ben White started against Bodo, then he came off. I can't remember who started at right back. It was Tomiyasu started right back last time he did, didn't he? And Tierney played at left back, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what he goes for this time around. But yeah, I mean, we're certainly going to see the likes of Matt Turner starting goal. I think, Tierney's 100%. Although saying that, I was going to say 100% Tierney's going to start, but it'll be interesting to see if Tierney has, Tomiyasu struggles against Southampton. He did struggle in the second half. I wonder if that might sort of force Mikel into a little bit of a rethink and think that this time it might be time to bring Tierney back in to play at left back against Notts Forest at the weekend. And if he does that, then maybe it's Tomiyasu starting at left back tomorrow night, and Tierney given a bit of a rest ahead of the Forest game, and we might see, say, Ben White at right back again. Again, we'll have to wait and see exactly how it all unfolds. But the likes of Vieira will start. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah will start up front. Odegaard, I think, probably will. Sambi will start in that holding role. That's the sort of team we're going to see. Well, certainly the team that I'm expecting to see. A few youngsters did train with the Arsenal squad today. Matt Smith, as usual, trained. I can't remember who else did. Kyan Edwards didn't. He's trained recently with the first team, but he didn't this time, which suggests that he's probably not going to make the trip over to Holland. But like I said, Mikel Arteta will be speaking later today ahead of that match tomorrow night once they've touched down. I think it's about sort of 7 o'clock, something like that. I've just got to turn on my computer again. Apologies, but it's turned off while I was talking to you. No Zinchenko again today. He didn't train. And, Mikel Arteta, when I asked him last week, is he going to definitely play before the World Cup? He said yes, but clock is ticking very much on that. And again, we're seeing Zinchenko unable to train for Arsenal. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in terms of who Arsenal should be starting in this one. Do you think Mikel, as I suggested, will go strong? Do you think he should go strong? Or would you like to... Do you think Arsenal can just get the job done over these next 2 games without having to risk anyone? There's no doubt they look a little bit tired. I spoke about it in my last video. The second half against Southampton, the second half at Leeds, it's beginning to, they sort of mirrored each other. You look at the stats between the first half performances in those games and the stats in the second half performances in those games, and it's very difficult to look at them and think, Arsenal are not running out of steam at the moment, because that appears to be the way. Yes, you've got to give the other teams credit because they played well in the second half, but I think a lot of that has to be down to Arsenal. We're just beginning to struggle a little bit fatigue-wise. No surprise given the hectic schedule they've gone through, but yeah, I think we might have to sort of grin and bear it for another couple of weeks. Well, actually for the rest of the season, because it's not going to get any easier after the World Cup. It's just going to be a crazy, crazy season. You might well have seen that the verdicts has sort of come out with the Gabriel and Jordan Henderson's flashpoint, spat, bust up, whatever you want to call it, after or towards the end of the Liverpool game, when we know that there was alleged comments made by Henderson that certainly angered Gabriel. We all saw the pictures, we saw how he reacted. The referee was told on the pitch what was alleged to have been said. He went over, spoke to Arteta, spoke to Klopp. He reported it to the FA after speaking to players again after the game. The FA launched an investigation, as we know. They've spoken to both players. They spoke to others around who are around the incident. They've done various things, and basically they have now announced that following that investigation, no action is going to be taken over Jordan Henderson. I will read you the statement, or part of the statement right now, that the FA have released. If you haven't seen it already, that the FA received a complaint about an incident involving 2 players in this fixture. As a result of the complaint, the FA conducted a full and thorough investigation. The investigation included taking witness statements from the complainant and accused, along with an additional 6 players who were within proximity of the alleged incident, reviewing multiple angles of video footage and seeking independent linguistics experts' evidence. None of the witnesses heard the alleged comment, and the player accused strenuously denied the allegation throughout. Whilst the FA is entirely satisfied that the allegation was made in good faith, it is equally satisfied that there is no case to answer. So Jordan Henderson will not face any punishment from the FA following the incident. We know that Mikel Arteta has backed Gabriel in it. He was asked about it. Do you back your player? He said absolutely. Gabriel and Arsenal went through the right channels. They made the complaint the way they did, but the FA say no. There's going to be no action taken over Jordan Henderson, and that is the end of the matter. Now, hopefully, Gabriel is doing okay, and he hasn't let it affect him. What's gone on sort of affecting Mikel Arteta was asked that very question last week. In fact, in a press conference, I think it was a press conference ahead of the PSV home game, and he said, look, he's fine. He said he's not let it affect him, and hopefully now, even though this has come out and it's not gone the way he clearly would have wanted, and felt that the FA, and he certainly felt the FA should have been taking action. That's why the complaint was pushed through all the necessary channels. Hopefully he won't be too downbeat by this, and will continue to play the way he has been playing. So yeah, anything you've heard or disagreed with, agreed with in this video, please do let me know. Like I said, Mikel Arteta's press conference will be coming up fairly soon. Today it's about 7 o'clock, I think, local time in Holland. So please keep your eyes peeled for all of that. And yeah, team selection, starting 11, who you want to see play against PSV, please do let me know in the comments below. I do wonder if you play Gabriel Jesus in this game. I know that's probably a bit of a stupid statement because you want Gabriel Jesus rested because he's very, very important. But given he's gone 5 games without a goal, given the chances he missed at the weekend, you feel for Arsenal and for Jesus, it's very important that he scores pretty soon just to give himself a little bit of a boost, just to get him back towards the sort of form he showed at the start of the season. The longer the run goes on, the longer he goes without a goal, the worse it's going to get, just because look, it's the nature of being a striker. When you go through these little droughts, and it's tough to call it a drought because it's only been 3 Premier League games. Two of his 5 appearances he hasn't scored and have been brief substitute appearances in the Europa League. But even so, you want your striker to score goals and to get his confidence level up. And I just wonder if you play him in this one, hope he scores, and then they can really sort of kick on ahead of the Premier League against Notts Forest at the weekend. You know, you're not playing for 90 minutes, but maybe give him the start, and then you can play. You can still start Eddie. You can play Eddie in the left, or you could even play Gabriel Jesus on the left and play Eddie as a central striker. But I just wonder if it might be worth it starting Jesus in this one. I'm sure you're all going to disagree, and you know, obviously if he starts and he gets injured, then I'll be thinking what a stupid idea that was starting him. But I do just wonder. I just think for the benefit of Arsenal, if you can get Gabriel Jesus scoring again, I think it's going to be hugely important because Arsenal need to start scoring goals. You know, they haven't scored more than once since that game against Liverpool, and that's not ideal because it's very hard to consistently keep clean sheets. They managed it for the first 3 games. They got away with it at least, but they didn't get away with it against Southampton. So you need to be scoring more than 1 goal, and for Arsenal to be doing that, they really need Gabriel Jesus scoring because he's the man who gets the goals. He's a central striker, and yeah, I just wonder if there is an argument about whether Jesus should start this weekend. But again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'm sure you're all going to probably disagree with me on that one. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and yeah, do enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and look forward to tomorrow night's game against PSV. Speak to you soon.